Father, the sleeper has awakened!
What's up, Raiders? It's a Groovinator from raidersofthelostflicks.com. Remember, if it's the bad movie, we want to know about it. And bad movies, some people consider the 1984 Dune movie a bad movie. Some people love it. There's no wrong answer there. You either love it or you don't. It's okay. Some people might think it's okay. I think it's visually a wonder, but narratively kind of a problem. But anyway, Kyle McLaughlin is saying to some people that he believes that the movie should be a TV series, and this is something that I've mentioned in the past. I'm getting this article from Screen Rant. It says, original Dune star thinks the reboot should have been a TV show. Kyle McLaughlin, who starred in David Lynch's critically panned 1984 version, says he thinks the new Dune movie should have been a TV show. Kyle McLaughlin, who starred in David Lynch's critically panned 1984 version, says he thinks the new Dune movie should have been a TV show. Lynch's adaptation of the classic sci-fi novel by Frank Herbert was a box office failure, confusing audiences with its convoluted screenplay and difficult-to-follow plot. The movie starred McLaughlin as Paul Atreides, the protagonist, who was seen as a prophet by the Fremen. Lynch himself has disowned the movie, crediting lack of control over the final cut and interference from producers for its failure. Due to the failure of Lynch's version, studios have been hesitant to produce a reboot of the Dune until Denis Villeneuve's version, which is set to be released later this year, though it could be delayed due to the pandemic. The French-Canadian filmmaker's ambitious new version features a star-studded cast including Timothée Chalamet as Paul, Zendaya as Chani. Chalamet has said a trailer will arrive later this month. Villeneuve, whose previous sci-fi work includes Blade Runner 2049 and Arrival, has said this film will adapt the first of the half of the novel, with a sequel completing the story, adding that the source material is, quote, too complex to adapt into just one movie. McLaughlin agrees, telling IndieWire that he thinks the story is too complicated even for just two movies, saying that it should have been a TV show instead. The actor, who went on to star in Twin Peaks for Lynch, says that a Game of Thrones style adaptation would have suited the material better. He adds that due to the complexity of the characters, an ideal adaptation would allow you to spend more time with each character than a movie allows. You can read the full comments below, and I am going to read this because it's pertinent to the video. I would lobby for 3 or 4 more films because it has that kind of potential to really open up. In my imagination, I always thought it would be great to approach it like a Game of Thrones model where you have seasons, or at least a 10-part series or a 12-part series. You could really go from beginning to end. There's a mysticism about the novel that is difficult to capture on film. That combined with a straight-ahead story and characters that are really well crafted, they're full people, and you want to spend time with each one of them, and that eats up your film time. It's a real puzzle. It's just so many elements that you can have to bring together. I remember that when I first started reading the book back in the day, I would get to about page 50 or 60 and then have to return back to the very beginning just to put all the players in place. There are so many relationships that are important to understand and know, to hold the stories of each of those so the audience can remember. It's just almost impossible. McLaughlin also spoke about how he feels about the 1984 Dune, saying that his feelings have evolved over the past 36 years. He calls it a flawed gem, adding that while it is a stunning movie, it's almost impossible story to adapt. He concludes that the difficulty lies in the story's density, saying that, quote, if you leave out one element of the story or another, the structure tends to wobble and you don't get the full effect. While McLaughlin's comments are clearly born out of the failure of the version he starred in, he does make a salient point. Herbert's source novel is thick, running to hundreds of pages, much like one of George R. R. Martin's epic novels that formed the basis for Game of Thrones. The producers of the 2000 sci-fi adaptation of Dune clearly thought so, turning the story into a 3-part miniseries, though even that was insufficient to properly portray the complex narrative. While a TV adaptation of the novel would make for a fascinating and in-depth adaptation, there's also the fear that a long-term show could run out of steam by the later seasons, diluting narrative impact for the sake of rushing to a conclusion, much like what happened with Game of Thrones. Fortunately, Villeneuve seems to understand that adapting the story to a complex, difficult task is making a pair of movies, hopefully giving time to fully develop the world and characters of Dune and giving the classic novel the adaptation it deserves. He's not wrong. I had mentioned this before, that I thought that Dune would be much better as a made-for Netflix original or Amazon Prime or Hulu or whoever wants to fork over the dough. It's not late to do that. It's not too late. You could actually still take what has been filmed. I mean, from what I know, the movie is pretty much complete. We've done some reshoots, but it's not too late to pull the plug on the sci-fi business model and just release this as a miniseries on one of the streaming platforms. Because one of the things that people fail to realize is that unlike, say, the 1980s when the original Dune came out, the entertainment landscape has broadened. You know, we've changed the way in which we digest our entertainment. You've got multiple streaming services, you've got TV channels, you've got your Xbox, your Hulu's, and your Amazon Prime. You don't just have the movie theater and then the TV stations. You have all of these different ways. To get people to even go to the movie theater anymore is an event in itself. You have to be able to market it to them. And most of the time, the reason you keep seeing reboots and remakes is because they're trying to drive audiences into the theater using brand recognition. They want to use those logos and those independent properties that people recognize to get people to even think about going to the movies. So Dune, I'm not so sure if, you know, the blockbuster business model is already tainted, because now with the COVID and the pandemic, you've got a limit as to how many people you can allow into theaters. Do people want to sit for 2.5 hours with a mask on their face? They're probably not going to do it because they're going to be shoving popcorn into your face, and that kind of, you know, is an argument all by itself. It's like, do you want to do that? You know, you're going to be required to wear a mask to go to the theater, but if you want to eat popcorn, you're going to have to take the mask off. You know what I mean? I really wish they would put it on a streaming format so that we could consume it that way. Also, if you do decide to do this, if you take it and you make it a mini-series on TV, break it up into episodes. Don't just unload the whole thing as a 3.5 hour movie on the Netflix, and I'll tell you why. You ever have a conversation with your friends? You ever talk about The Irishman that came out on Netflix? I guarantee at least 2 or 3 out of your friends, you know, if you have a group of 4 friends, 2 or 3 of them will say, "Yep, long movie." I've never been able to get through a conversation with anybody about The Irishman without them reminding me that it's a long movie. If you would have taken The Irishman and broke it up into, say, maybe 4 or 5 45-minute episodes, nobody would think twice about it. Because people won't think twice about marathoning an entire season of a TV show, but if they sit and watch a movie for longer than 2.5 or 3 hours, they're going to complain about the length, even if it's good science fiction entertainment. So that's something to consider. If you want broad appeal for something like this, you have to be willing to make sacrifices. Anyways, that's my 2 cents. How do you feel about Kyle McLaughlin's comments? Do you agree with them? Do you disagree? Are you excited about the Dune trailer? When do you think the Dune trailer is going to drop? These are the comments that I want to read about. Also want to remind you to come back to my channel every Friday night where we watch old bad movies and we review them together. We have a lot of fun. Also, pretty soon I'm going to be starting another pop culture show, live streaming type deal on my channel on Monday nights. That'll probably be starting next month. So I'll be letting you know the details and all that. But anyways, you guys have yourselves a fantastic week. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Give me a thumbs up on the way out. I'd appreciate it. This is the Groovinator signing out. You guys have yourselves a groovy day. Peace. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you found it somewhat entertaining. Please remember to depress that like button and subscribe to my channel for more content. Make sure you hit that bell icon so you'll be the first to know when new content is published. Please visit raidersofthelostflicks.com for more hilarious entertainment and links to all of our social media platforms. Also, consider supporting us on Patreon. As little as $1 a month supports our worldwide digs for more Lost Flicks. Thank you, and have a groovy day.